Join me in my study. Well, welcome back to my study. I'm glad to be back with you guys. It's been a minute since we've been together. In fact, we have a new fan of Join Me in My Study, a first-time guest appearing on the show today. This is none other than Felicity Duell. She's about 3 months old. She's my baby. And actually had another fan of the show stop by a few months ago, so feel free to come in sometime. You might end up on another episode with me in the study. I was reflecting on the Easter passage, which we read just yesterday, and we read the Gospel of John here, and there's an interesting part of the Gospel where Mary Magdalene runs out to the tomb first, and then goes back and tells the disciples that she found it empty, and then I'll read from there. She said, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." And then Peter and the other disciple set out and went towards the tomb. The two were running together, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He bent down to look in and saw the linen wrappings there, but did not go in. Then Simon Peter came following him and went into the tomb. He saw the linen wrappings lying there, and the cloth that had been on Jesus' head, not lying with the linen wrappings, but rolled up in a place by itself. And it goes on to say that the other disciple saw and believed, and they both left the scene. I was struck. It's interesting that they mentioned this weird little foot race between the disciple whom Jesus loved, is what the Gospel of John calls him, and Peter. Traditionally, we call this beloved disciple, it's a lot of times we consider that it's John, the author of the Gospel. I've heard one take saying that it was Lazarus that actually wrote the Gospel and is inserting himself into the story. Interesting take. I'm not sure which I believe the most plausible. But who got there first was so important to the author that he included that little fact in. Of course, the main fact being that Jesus was resurrected from the dead and broke the power of death itself by his own death and his own being raised to life. But how human is this, right? In church life, people can be competitive. You know, if you ever ask a pastor how many worship at his or her congregation, or if one pastor talks to another about how many you're worshiping, that question comes up a lot. The nature of wanting to compete, even though we're doing all things for the glory of God, at least we are striving to do all things for the glory of God and for his kingdom. Well, you know who won this little contest? I mean, it looked like John did because he got there first. But Peter's the one that went in. You know, John got there, he didn't go in. Peter went in. You know who won the whole thing? The one who did the most running, actually, was Mary Magdalene herself. She was the first one there, ran there in the dark, ran back, got Peter, got John, ran with them, and stayed after they left. And as a result, was actually the first one to see the risen Savior and recognize the Savior, Jesus, and have a task given to her post-resurrection, which was to go and get the other disciples and tell them that he's going to be ascending. So Mary's the winner of this little foot race. Not everything's a contest, but if it were, in this case, Mary Magdalene would have won. Well, I hope you guys are doing well, and thank you for joining me in my study. All right, Felicity, you got it.